The starship Resolute floated silently above the surface of a world that had once thrived. Below, cities stretched across plains and mountains, their shapes clear from orbit, yet there was no sign of life. The towers, once bright with energy, now stood empty. Roads that must have once bustled with vehicles and people lay deserted. The only movement came from the wind, stirring dust across abandoned squares and the faint shimmer of the planet's rivers, winding like silver threads through silent landscapes. Captain Alara Dane stared through the observation window, her hands resting lightly on the console before her. She had seen many planets before, some untouched, some already teeming with life. But this silence was different. It was heavy, almost sorrowful. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but edged with concern. Lieutenant Cairo Malik, standing beside her, tapped rapidly on the holographic console. "Atmosphere is breathable, no radiation spikes. All sensors show normal readings for temperature and gravity, no life forms detected on surface or subsurface." And the communication networks. Humanity had risked everything to reach this distant system, to bring aid to a civilization that had requested help decades ago. The humans had been told this colony was on the brink of collapse due to a local environmental crisis, one that only the combined efforts of human and Arithian science could solve. The journey across light years of uncharted space had been long and dangerous, yet the crew of the Resolute had pressed on. They had faced storms in deep space, navigated asteroid fields, and repaired their ship after collisions that would have ended a lesser crew. Humanity's determination had carried them here. But now, seeing the empty cities, Alara wondered if all that effort had been in vain. "Captain, I'm scanning for any hidden energy signatures," Cairo said, breaking the silence. Some faint readings beneath the central city. Something artificial." She remembered the records the Galactic Council had sent, images and reports of the colony when it was thriving, children laughing in playgrounds, scientists working in labs, families celebrating festivals under the twin suns. The colony had been a beacon of hope in the galaxy. "Prepare a landing team," she said finally. "We need to know what happened down there. Cairo, bring up the planetary maps. I want a full survey before we touch down." Outside, the planet waited, vast and silent, its blue-green oceans reflecting the light of distant stars. As the shuttle detached from the Resolute and began its descent, Alara felt a mixture of hope and dread. The cities below were closer now, and the details of abandonment were clearer. Buildings were intact but dark, streets lined with vehicles that had stopped mid-journey. Signs of everyday life were frozen in time. A ball resting near a doorstep, a market stall left open, books scattered across a plaza. It was as if the people had simply stepped away and never returned. The shuttle landed with a soft hum, and the ramp extended to the dusty ground. Alara led the team out, her boots crunching lightly against the pale soil. The air was clean, carrying the faint scent of metal and earth, but there was no sound of life. No birds, no distant voices, no movement. The only sound was the wind. "Split into teams," Alara instructed. "Cairo, take sensors and sweep the city center. I'll lead the main team toward the government district. Keep communications open." The crew watched messages recorded decades ago, messages of hope, of progress, and of ordinary life. "Captain," Cairo called, voice echoing slightly over the comm link, "I think I've found something." The doorway to the chamber was sealed, but the access panel blinked with a faint blue light. "It's automated," Cairo observed. "The system is still running, maintaining whatever is below." The door slid open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into darkness. The faint glow of energy lines ran along the walls, illuminating the descent. The team moved carefully, their flashlights cutting through the shadows. The air grew cooler and more mechanical as they descended, and the sounds of the outside wind faded. At the bottom, they found a large underground facility, its walls lined with consoles, dormant machines, and strange containers that pulsed faintly with energy. One of the AI units, still functional after decades, activated when it detected their presence. "Welcome, visitors," it said in a calm, neutral tone. "You have arrived long after the departure of the original occupants. Assistance is recommended." Though the people were gone, their civilization had left behind an enduring footprint, one that humans could now help preserve. It was a responsibility and an opportunity, a chance to honor lives that had been lost. Alara felt a sudden surge of determination. Humanity had risked everything to reach this system, to help where no one else could. Now, standing in the chamber that housed the last remnants of an entire world, she realized that their mission was far from over. It was not enough to survive. They had to ensure that the legacy of this lost civilization endured. "This is why we came," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Not just to deliver aid, but to make sure what they built, what they dreamed, does not vanish." They discovered libraries of knowledge, records of the colony's history, scientific experiments, and artistic achievements. Each finding was a window into the lives of people who had once lived, loved, and worked on this world. Though the streets above were silent, the voices of the past echoed through the facility, speaking of ambition, hope, and resilience. As night fell outside, Alara looked up at the stars through a viewport high above the city. She thought of the countless humans who had made similar journeys, risking everything for others. Some had traveled light years to deliver food, medicine, or protection. Some had explored unknown planets, facing dangers no one could predict. Humanity had a way of standing up, even when others would have given up. And now, in this silent city, that same spirit would guide them. "Captain," Cairo said softly, interrupting her thoughts, "there's something else. I don't know what it is, but the energy readings, they're not just the AI, there's something deeper, something hidden. Then we find it. If there's even a chance that someone or something survived, we'll discover it. Humanity doesn't leave unanswered questions." No matter how empty the cities seemed, no matter how silent the streets, she knew humans would not leave this world forgotten. And somewhere, deep beneath the surface, a secret waited. A secret that, if discovered, could change everything the crew of the Resolute believed about survival, courage, and the unbreakable bonds that connect all life in the galaxy. Alara took one last look at the silent city before descending further into the shadows, ready to face whatever lay beneath. Humanity had risked everything to come here. Now, they would ensure that what remained of this lost civilization did not fade into nothingness. The underground facility stretched far beyond what the crew of the Resolute had expected. The walls glowed with faint, pulsing light, running like veins through the metal and stone. It was quiet, almost too quiet, yet the hum of machinery reminded them that something still lived here. Machines had kept the systems alive for decades, tirelessly preserving the planet's past. It was remarkable, and Alara could not help but feel a mixture of awe and sorrow. Cairo led the team deeper into the facility. Sensors swept the corridors, picking up faint traces of energy and small fluctuations in temperature. Every corner they turned revealed more evidence of the lives that had once thrived here. Storage rooms were filled with containers of seeds, water purification units, and experimental devices meant to protect and sustain the colony. Each item told a story. Each tool reflected the care and ingenuity of people who had dedicated themselves to survival and progress. "This place, it's like a museum," whispered Lieutenant Rena Haver, her eyes scanning the walls lined with schematics and holographic panels. "Except the exhibits are still alive somehow." Humanity had come to help a civilization in need, expecting to deliver aid, perhaps provide guidance and leave. But now, seeing the colony's remnants preserved by machines, she realized the real challenge was not only to help but to understand. They had to learn who these people were, what they valued, and why they had disappeared. As they walked, the AI spoke again, its voice calm and precise. "You may access the central archives. They contain the records of the population's last decades. Caution is advised. Data is extensive and requires careful review." Holographic displays floated above the floor, waiting for interaction. Alara stepped forward, her fingers brushing over one of the panels. Instantly, the interface responded, displaying a holographic map of the planet with markers for key locations. "Look at this," Cairo said, pointing to the display. "The main cities, research facilities, agricultural hubs, they're all here. And look, there's something marked beneath the northern mountains. Potentially, verification is required. Survival probability unknown. Stay ready for anything, but remember, our mission is preservation, observation, and assistance, nothing else." Cairo and Rena would lead the technical analysis, while Alara stayed with the central command, monitoring communications and guiding the team through the AI's data network. As the exploration team lifted off, the planet below seemed to stretch endlessly, vast plains giving way to jagged mountain peaks. The wind swept across the valleys, carrying fine dust that glimmered in the dim light of the twin suns. The crew descended into a deep canyon, the walls rising high above them, shadowed and mysterious. "Sensors are picking up unusual energy patterns," Cairo reported. Not just the stasis chambers, there are hidden power conduits. Someone or something was maintaining systems even deeper than the archives. The doorway was massive, reinforced with layers of metal, yet the AI had provided the override codes. With a soft hiss, the doors slid open, revealing a chamber filled with light and quiet machinery. Rows of stasis pods lined the walls, their surfaces smooth and silent. Each pod was connected to a network of conduits and monitors. The team moved carefully, checking the readings. Most of the pods had long since powered down, their occupants gone. Yet one pod glowed faintly, a soft blue light pulsing rhythmically. Cairo approached it cautiously, scanning the panel. "This one is active," he said softly. "It's maintaining life signs, minimal but stable. Biological signatures indicate a single occupant. Conditions stable but dormant. Awakening may be possible with careful intervention." Yet humanity's guiding principle was clear. They did not abandon life. "Do it," she said finally. "We came here for this. We will not leave without ensuring they have a chance." Outside the pod, the team held their breath, waiting for the moment when life would return fully. After what felt like hours, the pod hissed softly and the surface of the chamber rippled. A figure began to stir inside, small movements at first, then more deliberate ones. A hand reached out, followed by a head. The occupant opened their eyes, blinking against the artificial light, taking in the faces of the humans around them. Alara stepped forward gently. "You are safe," she said. "We are here to help you. My name is Captain Alara Dane, and this is the crew of the starship Resolute. You are not alone." Their voice was faint but steady. I thought everyone. "We will help you restore it." This was the essence of humanity, to reach out, to protect, to preserve, even when the odds were against them. The galaxy was vast, and dangers were everywhere, yet humans had a way of standing firm, guided by compassion and courage. The team spent the next hours assisting the survivor, explaining what had happened and what they could do together. The AI helped by providing data about the colony's history, scientific achievements, and cultural milestones. Though much had been lost, the foundations were intact. With human guidance, they could revive knowledge, rebuild systems, and ensure that the colony's legacy would endure. Outside, the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the mountains. The wind carried the scent of dust and stone, a reminder of the world that had once thrived. Alara looked at the horizon, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the spark of hope. Humanity had reached a world abandoned, yet they were not leaving it behind. They would nurture life, restore knowledge, and honor the courage of those who had come before. As the team prepared to return to the surface, the survivor spoke again, voice trembling but strong. Why would you come? You didn't know us. We protect life, preserve hope, and carry the stories of the past into the future." They had arrived not to conquer or claim, but to protect, to learn, and to ensure that nothing truly valuable would ever be forgotten. And in that moment, deep beneath the mountains of a silent world, a new chapter began. The last survivor of the colony would awaken to a galaxy filled with compassion and courage, guided by humans who risked everything to ensure that no story, no life, and no dream would ever be lost. Alara looked around at her crew, proud and resolute. They had faced uncertainty, explored abandoned cities, and uncovered secrets no one else would have dared touch. Yet they had not faltered. Humanity's spirit had carried them through the silence and into hope. The mountains above them glowed under the twin suns, the wind singing a quiet song of survival and renewal. Alara knew that this was only the beginning. Many challenges awaited them, many discoveries yet to come. But the first step had been taken, and the message was clear. No matter how distant the stars, no matter how impossible the task, humanity would reach out, protect, and restore. For in the galaxy, even when there seemed to be no one left, humans would always risk everything for life, for hope, and for those who could not save themselves. The mountains stretched endlessly as the hover units carried Alara, Cairo, and the rest of the exploration team back toward the surface. The twin suns of the planet had dipped lower, casting warm orange and gold light across the rocky peaks, illuminating valleys and canyons that seemed untouched for decades. The survivor, now awake and moving with careful steps, followed closely behind, their eyes wide with wonder. Every sight was new and strange, yet familiar, like a dream half-remembered. "This place, it's changed," the survivor murmured. "I thought everything would be the same as when I left, but it looks alive again in some ways." From above, it looked like a collection of stone and metal. but the glow of the AI-maintained systems beneath gave it a soft pulse, as if the city itself were breathing. Alara led the survivor through the streets, pointing out landmarks, abandoned homes, and remnants of daily life. It was strange for them, seeing a world they had known frozen in time, yet also filled with hints of vitality, because the humans had arrived to preserve it. "We have much work to do," Cairo said, his voice quiet but determined. "We need to restore systems, gather knowledge, and rebuild a network that will allow this civilization to thrive again." The AI has maintained most of the technical systems. Energy is stable, life support in the underground chambers is functional, and the archives are intact. The question is, how do we bring this all together without overwhelming the survivor? Humanity helps, but we follow the legacy left behind. That is the principle. It kept our memories safe, even though no one was here. Cairo and Rena began cataloging scientific data and technological designs, while the survivor guided them, recognizing symbols and recalling processes long forgotten. Alara observed, ensuring the work flowed smoothly. The synergy between humans, AI, and the survivor created a quiet energy in the room. It was not loud or chaotic, but steady and alive, like a heartbeat returning to a silent world. Hours passed, and as they worked, they began uncovering more than technical knowledge. The archive contained cultural records, art, music, literature, and historical accounts. Each piece told a story of hope, perseverance, and creativity. The survivor paused at a holographic display of a festival where families had danced under the twin suns. Their eyes glimmered with emotion. "I remember this," they said softly. "We celebrated even when times were hard. We believed life was worth living always." As night fell, the twin moons rose in the sky, casting silver light across the city. The humans and the survivor stepped outside, breathing in the quiet air. The wind carried faint sounds of machinery from the underground chambers, a gentle hum that reminded them of the AI's tireless work. Alara turned to the survivor. "Tomorrow, we will begin restoring communication networks. It is important that we reconnect this world, not just for survival, but to share its knowledge with the rest of the galaxy. That is who we are." Screens lit up with information, holographic signals pulsed across the city, and finally messages from the outside world started to flow in, mostly reports from distant human outposts and Arithian allies, wondering if the team and the colony were safe. The survivor watched, astonished. "I thought all connection was gone, but you've restored it. You've brought life back to this world." Seeds stored in the underground chambers were planted in carefully prepared fields. Water purification systems, powered by solar and geothermal energy, were restored. The colony's environment, though abandoned, responded to the care humans provided, slowly regaining vitality. During this work, the survivors shared stories of their people. They spoke of children learning to read under starlit skies, of festivals that celebrated life and unity, of inventions designed to make daily life better for everyone. The humans listened with respect, absorbing not only facts but the essence of the colony's spirit. "This is more than technology," Cairo said one evening as they rested. "It's values, hopes, and culture. And it's something we can help continue." They began to assist with the work, guiding humans through rituals, explaining cultural symbols, and showing which areas were most important to restore first. Together, they developed a plan to revive the colony's social and educational systems. The AI assisted with technical aspects, but the survivor provided the human connection that made restoration meaningful. One evening, while the humans and the survivor worked late in the archive, a faint vibration ran through the floor. Lights flickered, and the AI's voice filled the room. "Warning, environmental stabilization systems require attention, structural integrity in northern sectors at risk. There could be damage to the infrastructure that affects restoration efforts." "This will take careful work," Cairo said, scanning the area. "We can't rush it. The structures may be fragile, but the systems inside are still functional." They repaired structural damage, reinforced weak sections of buildings, and rebooted power nodes. The AI assisted by guiding them through complex procedures, but it was human intuition, creativity, and determination that solved unexpected problems. The survivor provided insight into what systems were culturally important and which elements needed to be prioritized. By dawn, the northern sectors were stabilized. Lights glowed softly in restored buildings, and the hum of machinery signaled that the city was alive once more. Ilara looked out over the city, feeling a sense of accomplishment tempered with humility. They were making progress, yet the journey was far from over. "This is just the beginning," she said quietly to the survivor. "There is more to restore, more knowledge to preserve, and more life to protect. But today, we've taken a big step forward, and tomorrow we continue." Humanity's purpose had always been to protect, preserve, and inspire. Across the galaxy, humans had reached out to civilizations in need, often without recognition or reward. Here on this distant world, their actions proved that hope could survive even in the silence left by tragedy. As the team returned to the central archive, the twin suns rose again, bathing the city in light. It was a new day, full of promise and possibility. The survivor, now confident and engaged, walked alongside the humans, sharing knowledge, guiding efforts, and inspiring the team with stories of a civilization that refused to fade completely. Ilara knew that there would be challenges ahead. The colony was still incomplete, its people gone, and mysteries of the planet yet to be uncovered. But for the first time in decades, life, both literal and cultural, was beginning to flourish again. And humanity had made it possible, standing as a bridge between the past and the future. As they worked, Ilara thought about the countless humans who had risked everything across the stars, reaching out to help others. Their courage, compassion, and determination had created ripples of hope that reached even the most distant worlds. On this silent planet, now slowly coming alive, the truth of humanity's spirit was clear. Even when there seemed to be no one left, humans would not abandon life, knowledge, or hope. And so, in the quiet hum of the restored systems, beneath the twin suns, the survivor, the humans, and the AI continued their work. Together, they would revive the city, preserve the legacy of the lost colony, and ensure that the stories of those who came before would never be forgotten. Because humanity risked everything for others, and even in the silence of a deserted world, that courage was enough to bring life back. The city was waking slowly, but not with the sound of voices or footsteps. The glow of restored energy grids and the soft hum of machinery gave life to empty streets. The team of humans worked tirelessly, moving from building to building, repairing systems, and preparing the environment to support life once more. The survivor, now fully awake and growing stronger each day, moved among them with an energy born of hope, pointing out what needed care and what could wait. Ilara watched from the observation deck of a partially restored tower. Below her, the streets glimmered under artificial lights, guided by the AI systems, and the faint warmth of the twin suns overhead added a natural glow. She could see the hover units moving smoothly across the city, carrying supplies, repairs, and equipment for the next stages of restoration. Every motion was a reminder that humanity's presence was more than just hands and machines. It was courage, dedication, and care for life that could not save itself. "We need to focus on education next," Rena said, her voice steady as she pointed to one of the reconstructed buildings. "The archives contain years of knowledge, culture, and technology. If we want this civilization to thrive, someone must learn from it. Language, history, music, and science. The young ones, if any are found later, will have guidance. They will not start from nothing." Teaching, guiding, and nurturing were as important as repairing machines or restoring energy grids. They were the essence of what it meant to preserve life. The next days passed in a rhythm of careful work. Humans and the survivor moved through the city together, stabilizing buildings, repairing environmental controls, and reconnecting the colony's systems. The survivor taught humans about the planet's natural cycles, showing them the best locations for planting seeds, managing water flow, and protecting delicate habitats. Though the colony had been gone, the planet itself seemed to respond to their care. Streams glimmered more brightly, wind carried scents of wildflowers, and even the dormant trees seemed stronger, their branches reaching for the twin suns. One afternoon, while repairing an old research lab, Cairo discovered a hidden compartment behind a panel. It contained sealed containers with delicate instruments and data drives. Some of the devices were designed for long-term ecological monitoring, while others contained cultural artifacts, books, musical recordings, and artistic creations. Ilara leaned over, inspecting the contents. "This is remarkable," she said. "Even in their final days, the colony thought of preserving their world. They wanted someone to understand, someone to continue what they started. With them, we can ensure the environment stabilizes faster, and we can study how to maintain the city for future generations." Every repaired machine, every restored system, and every shared lesson contributed to something greater than survival. It was about hope. At night, the city glowed softly. The twin moons reflected off the polished surfaces of restored streets and buildings. Ilara, exhausted but alert, walked with the survivor along one of the quiet streets. "You've done so much," the survivor said, their voice almost reverent. "I thought I would wake to nothing, but humans, you've brought life back in ways I did not believe possible. And you survived, giving us the chance to restore this world. We honor the past, yes, but we also create a future." Even in the absence of a full population, the act of teaching gave life to the city. It reminded the humans why they had come, to preserve, protect, and nurture. The AI, too, became more collaborative, offering guidance and suggestions for maintaining stability, ensuring resources were used efficiently, and identifying areas where the planet needed the most attention. Together, humans, survivor, and AI created a rhythm of restoration, each complementing the other. One morning, while checking the environmental sensors in a valley outside the city, Rena noticed an unusual fluctuation. "Captain, the Northern Lake's levels are shifting unexpectedly. It seems the underground reservoirs are changing faster than expected." "This is not a failure. It is a response to restoration efforts. The systems we rebooted are stabilizing, and the planet itself is beginning to respond. We must monitor it, but this is progress." "You have awakened that life." As they continued their work, strange patterns began to emerge in the planet's energy network. Hidden conduits, long inactive, lit up softly, reacting to the restored systems. Cairo analyzed them with the survivors' input. "These conduits were designed to connect different parts of the planet," Cairo explained. "It's like a communication network for the planet itself, mechanical, environmental, and cultural all at once. If we can stabilize it fully, the city will operate almost as it did before, even without a full population. But it needed help, and you've given it that help." They repaired water canals, restored farmland, and began experimenting with methods to reintroduce native plant life that had dwindled during the decades of abandonment. The survivor guided them in understanding which plants were culturally and environmentally important, ensuring that restoration was not just technical but meaningful. At night, the team gathered in the central archive, sharing observations, discussing progress, and planning the next stages. Ilara felt a sense of unity and purpose unlike anything she had experienced before. This was humanity at its best, reaching out, preserving life, and ensuring that hope continued. The survivor, standing by the main console, looked around at the humans and the AI. "I thought I was the last. I thought everything was gone. But now, I see that the universe still cares. Through you, life continues. That is who we are." Ilara knew there would still be challenges. The planet was vast, and mysteries remained. Hidden systems, long-dormant devices, and environmental cycles yet to stabilize would require careful attention. Yet she also knew that they were on the right path. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and they had always persevered. They would do the same here in this silent city now coming alive. As the twin moons rose once more, casting a gentle silver light over the restored city, Ilara took a moment to reflect. Humanity had risked everything to come here, not for glory, not for gain, but for life itself. In doing so, they had breathed hope into a world that seemed lost, proving once more that courage, care, and determination were more powerful than isolation, silence, or despair. And in the quiet hum of restored systems, with the survivor walking among them and the city responding to their care, Ilara felt a deep, unshakable certainty. Even when it seemed there was no one left, humans would always risk everything to protect life, preserve knowledge, and carry hope forward. The city had begun to live again. The survivor had begun to believe in the future. And humanity had proven once more that the galaxy could always count on them. The city had changed. What had once been silent and empty now hummed with life, though not in the way it had decades ago. Lights glimmered along restored streets, soft glows of energy conduits pulsed steadily, and the AI's systems kept the environment stable and thriving. The survivor walked among the restored buildings, now confident and purposeful, their steps lighter than when they first emerged from stasis. Humans moved alongside them, coordinating efforts, repairing systems, teaching lessons, and slowly giving the city the structure it needed to survive. Ilara Dane, standing atop a restored observation tower, gazed at the city with pride and quiet relief. She had expected challenges, of course, But seeing the progress made in such a short time exceeded even her most optimistic expectations. Humanity had come to this distant world to preserve life and knowledge. Now, for the first time, it seemed that life itself had responded. Cairo approached, holding a datapad filled with readings and charts. Captain, energy levels are stable across the city, environmental systems are fully operational, and the restored agricultural areas are responding to cultivation. The AI predicts sustainable growth if current protocols continue. They are also cataloging historical records with Rena. I've never seen them so focused and confident. We risked everything to reach this world because we do not abandon life. You and your people's legacy deserve to survive, and we will make sure it does. The city seemed to breathe again, not in panic or chaos, but with quiet order and promise. Over the next days, the team focused on completing the final stages of restoration. Communication networks were expanded to reach distant points on the planet. The survivor guided humans in creating educational and cultural centers, where archives could be accessed easily. The AI worked tirelessly to stabilize ecosystems, and the humans provided the flexibility, creativity, and intuition that machines alone could not achieve. While restoring a research wing, Rena discovered a set of sealed chambers that had never been opened before. "Captain," she said, her voice tinged with excitement, "these appear to be experimental rooms." The records show they were meant to preserve knowledge about advanced agricultural techniques, environmental modeling, and energy generation. But they also contain personal journals and stories of the people who lived here. Knowledge is not just about technology. It's about understanding the lives and dreams of those who came before. That is how we truly honor them. The survivor paused at each record, remembering faces, voices, and moments that had once seemed lost forever. "These are our history," the survivor whispered. "The people who lived here wanted to leave a record even if they disappeared, and now we can honor them. We have the means, the knowledge, and the will. Together, we will ensure that nothing valuable is lost." Systems maintained by the AI operated smoothly, and slowly, a small community of restored life, plants, monitored animals, and carefully cultivated ecosystems began to thrive. The survivor began training humans in cultural preservation, teaching lessons about values, music, history, and creativity, ensuring that the restored city would not be merely functional but meaningful. Alara spent her days moving among the city, ensuring the work flowed smoothly, coordinating between humans, AI, and the survivor. She realized that this mission, more than anything, had proven the strength of humanity not in conquest or power, but in care, compassion, and dedication. One evening, the twin moons rose, casting silver light across the city. Alara walked with the survivor along a street that had once been empty and cold. Now the street was lined with gardens, energy lights pulsed gently, and small drones hovered quietly, monitoring environmental stability. "I never imagined this," the survivor said softly. "When I woke, I thought everything was gone. I thought I would have nothing but memories of what was lost. But now there is hope. Even without people, the city is alive. Even after so long, life can continue. Historical and cultural records have been preserved and cataloged for restoration. Monitoring will continue indefinitely. Humanity acts because it is who we are. We do not leave others behind, even when the task seems impossible. That is the lesson we carry across the stars." Yet their actions, careful, thoughtful, and selfless, had breathed life back into a forgotten place. They had not sought recognition or reward, they had acted because life mattered. The survivor joined her on the observation deck. "Do you think my people would be proud?" they asked quietly. Alara smiled. "They would be, and I think they would also be proud of humanity. You see, we risked everything to help. That courage, that care, that commitment, that is something worth honoring. They would know their legacy is safe. One day others may come, and they will find a world alive, not abandoned. They will find life, knowledge, and hope. And that is because humans risked everything for others, even when it seemed there was no one left." Classes ran smoothly in the reconstructed schools, the archives became accessible for study, and ecosystems thrived under careful monitoring. The survivor documented everything, preserving cultural knowledge and teaching humans how to maintain traditions while integrating new discoveries. The city had regained its heartbeat, though it was a new rhythm, guided by both the survivor and humanity. One afternoon, Ilara stood in the central square, watching humans and the survivor working together to plant gardens, repair energy nodes, and prepare for future growth. She felt a profound sense of satisfaction. This mission had not been about conquest, glory, or power. It had been about life itself, the courage to reach out, the wisdom to preserve, and the dedication to ensure that hope continued. The survivor approached her, holding a small device containing holographic recordings of the colony's festivals, artwork, and cultural practices. "Captain," they said softly, "you've given us everything we could have hoped for. Life, yes, but also memory, history, and purpose. We can start again." Gardens glowed softly, machines hummed steadily, and the air carried the sense of restored nature. The survivor looked around, eyes shining. "It feels alive, not just the city, but everything, and we have you to thank for it. And now this city, this planet, will thrive because of it. That is enough." The humans, having risked everything to reach a distant world, had fulfilled their purpose, not through conflict, not through power, but through care, dedication, and courage. The planet once abandoned now had a heartbeat. And that heartbeat, sustained by humans, the survivor, and the AI, would echo across the stars, a reminder that even when it seemed there was no one left, life could endure, knowledge could survive, and hope would always remain. Ilara stood atop the observation tower one last time, looking out over the restored city, the glowing gardens, and the gentle hum of machines and nature. Somewhere across the galaxy, countless humans were doing the same, risking everything for others, carrying hope into worlds unknown. And in that moment, she knew with certainty that the legacy of humanity, its courage, compassion, and commitment, would continue to shine brightly long after the stars themselves grew quiet. Because even when there is no one left, humans will always risk everything to ensure that life, hope, and the stories of the past are never forgotten.